Welcome back
Welcome
to...
back to
sorry.
Gears of War 4.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
Who even is the real protagonist at this point?
So far, we've seen that my dad has become a senile failure.
And now he's been digested into something.
Well, Marcus died, so it's not like you know. Yeah, I think you're talking about crazy asshole, maybe.
That's by characterization of JD. Hates his dad so much that he considers his dad dying an act of failure on his part.
All right.
Hey, it's more personality than this game gives him.
Yeah, true.
Moving on.
Oh look, Fort Revel Keep. Obviously, Fort Revel did not have a working tram station. Interesting way to phrase it. The structure in which our tram station was built, however, was once the fort's customs building. Goods from all over ancient Tyrus and beyond would have passed through its noble doors. During the construction of the tram, archaeologists would found hundreds of Silver Age trinkets in and around the building. Historical site.
So you don't even get any more just the data log. Now you have to actually read signs in game.
Well, to be fair, at the very least they place it in a way that's more immersive than the data log, where it's actually part of, you know, an actual thing that was put in the historical site. So. And
jokes aside, I actually kind of like this bit, this lore bit. At the very least, it's telling something completely different, even beyond the Pendulum War and everything. It gives actual lore to the world of Sarah. But just like with the Pendulum Wars, you just wish there was a bit more than that.
Alright, so this new type of locust is interesting because he explodes when you kill him. There you go. He's not that, like, at first when you look at him, you might think, oh, probably his body is a bit armored and you have to hit him in his belly where, you know, it's more colorful. But no, all you have to do is just keep shooting it and it eventually will blow up.
So it's a cyber demon in Doom, shoot it until it dies.
Basically, yeah.
Can you actually use the chainsaw of the Lancer on it?
I have never actually tried it because this thing keeps jumping all around, so it's kind of hard. So it's kind of hard to get close to it. Not to mention it can hurt you quite a bit if you get close to it. So I never actually tried it, but considering it's very tiny in comparison to you, probably not.
Okay.
I've never actually tried it though, because it doesn't seem like a very useful strategy to use against this guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Alright, that's about it though.
I love that the game has the characters hastily coming up with names for the enemy types, you know, the Snatcher, Pouncers, and etc.
True. Alright, let's see. I forgot if I'm actually looking for some kind of collectible here.
Well, I think more ammo potentially or weapon.
No, that's the thing. Right now, I think my Lancer is all topped up. Maybe some ammo for the long shot, probably.
That actually, remind me, I forgot if you mentioned already. Have they changed the ammo cap again for the Lancer?
Yes.
See where this leads.
Because I do remember that for free and Judgment was 420.
Yeah, in here it's already 560, just like in the first game.
Oh, so we actually added more.
It's weird. I don't understand this inconsistency with how much ammo the Lancer can take.
Again, it's probably dependent on the meta of the multiplayer, and they just don't even bother to actually adjust it for the single player.
I guess. I mean, you could just leave that for the multiplayer. All right, we're actually going to get what. We're actually going to get now what I think passes for character development in this game, but by all means, see it for yourself. See what you guys think.
Well, there we go. At least the tramp's still.
I guess it's at the very least a better heart-to-heart scene than the one in Final Fantasy VIII, but that's not saying much.
All aboard!
I'm not sure this is counted as a hype range of it.
There is cutscene. Dale will operate it since he's the smart one.
Great.
Yeah, let Dale handle. Yeah, please.
Go. I got this.
Okay. Time for the shipping moment.
No, that's a thing too. That's not loaded at all. Believe it or not.
She's just seen her mother get kidnapped by a bunch of locusts. I'm sure she's...
JD has seen his father be swallowed whole, Jova. Get in the line.
If I had any idea...
No, Kate.
Any idea that saving my mom meant you may be losing...
Hey, we haven't lost anyone yet.
Can't this thing
And that's
move
it.
faster?
I'll take anything because I will say this, it wasn't really bad, so there is that.
Yeah, but now we have to make up for JD doing something stupid.
Don't you understand, guys?
JD, no!
You what the fuck are you doing, you moron? That's not the...
Jesus Christ.
Like... Yeah, you could have gotten hurt with that, you know.
If not more. Or
Don't
the
you
others
see,
too.
guys? Time was of the essence.
You literally just said we haven't lost anyone yet, so let's fix that.
The plot demands a death right now.
Jesus.
So, everyone's backs are broken and everyone's arms
Don't you
are
understand,
sprained.
guys? Marcus Phoenix may be dead as far as the plot is concerned.
Not to mention, you potentially, for all you know, you precluded an actual escape route with this.
Really? No.
All right.
That's the thing too.
Yes, I hate this too.
See,
Jesus.
that's the thing too. They try to have moments of this as this is supposed to be moments of humor and character. The problem is, it just comes like, you know, they're trying to portray JD as the guy who, like, the wild card, you know, the guy who, you know, lives kind of a bit on the edge and shit, and he's willing to, well, okay, maybe if we use this counterweight, like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. What's a little risk here and there? You know, the problem is, like, and Dell sometimes tells him, no, JD, don't, but the problem is JD is very much like Dina from Last of Us Part 2. He just kind of goes, no, stop, JD, come back, and that's basically it.
Sure. Okay, here we go.
Right. Another wave.
Just another day at the office.
You know, Dell, your friend kind of sucks. Get a better friend.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do if it show that JD, you know, keeps cool under more pressureful situations that most people would crack under, and then he likes to think outside the box every now and then. I think it falls into that plot trap of he is as the plot wants him to be, because if you recall, earlier in the game, he was all about regulation and following rules and whatnot, like when we first see him. Then later, he's more cocky all of a sudden. Then he goes into this state of, I hate my dad and all of that stuff. But now, of course, obviously, he cares for his dad instantly as soon as his dad gets kidnapped. And so on and so forth.
Don't worry, though.
It's not so much that he has no character, it's that he has a character that literally is crafted just to how the plot wants him to be.
It's,
which is not the makings of a strong character.
Don't worry though, guys. Dell will also have his stupid moment at the end of this part. So they're gonna make up for that, I guess. Kind of.
Right.
I don't know.
Wait.
Back on that snatcher's trail.
I love how the game has a sound file for the specific moment, like JD has to do some incredible force to pull himself up.
One of the big issues I have is that, okay, yes. See, here's the thing. You see, the original trilogy managed to do quite a bit with little dialogue, because what little dialogue was there was effective, you know. Snatcher. Yeah. And what happened was, like, for example, in Gears of War 2, where we have the subplot of Dom looking for his wife, Maria. And what little is there is done effectively when it does come up, where we do get where Marcus keeps supporting him in everything, and even and we get a good sense of their brotherly relationship in Gears of War 2. In Gears of War, which of course is capped with a payoff of Dom's noble sacrifice at the end of, in the middle of 3, and even in Gears of War 3, the relationship between Marcus and his dad, which is told to us in a very important flashback right at the beginning, as well as the occasional mentions here and there. And of course, when we get to the climax, it gets even better because we get even Adam talking about how he's been secretly planning this whole stuff from the beginning. And of course, at the end, we have him saying to Marcus, "After all this, I want you and all the others to live happily and peacefully." And that's exactly what Adam was working for. He sacrificed himself so that his son and his compatriots could have a brighter future. That was the whole point of it, you know.
Which I guess they sort of kind of had until this game. I mean, if you discount the whole Marcus kind of, you know, losing faith in Cog. And that's not even
well, let me ask you the obvious question, of which I probably know the answer already. Is the death of Anya told in a comic?
I don't know. You'll have to look it up because in the game,
the Gears Wiki then.
In the game, in the games,
it's not brought up in the games that much. I mean, okay, it's said that she died and all that, but her actual death, not real.
They don't really explain why she's dead. Like maybe she got sick or not. Like they do mention there's gonna be a conversation between Jin and Marcus in Gears 5, where they talk about how you know, this is what your wife would want or something like that, because basically Anya actually became the prime minister and it was Jin who succeeded her when Anya died.
Oh, great.
Well, Anya has always been much more of a politician rather than a gear.
No, I'm talking about Jin succeeding her.
Yeah. And Marcus even takes objection when she even dares mention her name and shit like that, because Marcus doesn't like her very much. Don't worry, Marcus, neither do I.
Well, good news is, as long as
but aside from that, Teo, they never really explain in the games how she died. Maybe sickness, maybe old age, I don't know. But to finish my point, whereas this game, because Tom Bissell is such a lesser writer, at least in the main role, maybe he's better as an assistant writer than a sole writer. But as a sole writer, he doesn't quite have the same wit and the same effectiveness that the previous writers had, where they were. Whereas we have that scene between JD and Kate, but that scene didn't really develop their characters at all. We just had a brief little moment where she's at the very least, you know, telling him she's sorry about this whole situation, but we haven't learned anything about their relationship, about anything. We haven't really learned about anything about them, period. It's just a brief little moment that basically ends before it has a proper opportunity to actually get somewhere, you know. And that's my issue. Like, whereas in the Gears, the original trilogy, I think did a better job in being succinct with its storytelling. Go ahead, what you were saying.
Yes, I checked. No, it doesn't seem to tell that particular story happening in a comic. It only mentions this. Later in 27 AE, First Minister Stroud chose to have another child and went to Minister Jin to undergo another fertility treatment. However, due to unknown causes, Anya died during the program, and instead of being buried with the old fathers in the new FDR, I guess it's a city, Marcus buried Anya on the land of Stroud's estate, much to Jin's dismay, as she wanted Anya to be a symbol of inspiration for next generation.
Yeah, that program that you just mentioned, we're actually going to bring that up in Gears 5, so I look forward to that at least. But yeah, it even says unknown causes, so even if the wiki itself has no idea, then yeah, what chance to read?
Wait, oh my god, wait. How much you want to bet there's gonna be a plot twist involving her in Gears of War 6?
She's actually alive!
I seriously hope not. Commit to your guns, please.
Okay. Well, I mean, if Fast and Furious could bring back Khan from the third movie...
Well, Dave's context, you know, the setting alone can determine if it's worth to bring back, if it's possible and or worth to bring back a character from the dead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't
Remember the age-old rule, which we never saw a body.
Oh, so it's
we saw him in the car seconds before.
Oh, so it's
and even then, it potentially can be potentially a non-standard resurrection. Remember, the entire plot point of this portion of the game is the fact that the Locust supposedly are coming back by mutating human into these cocoons, based supposedly also on the dead Locust that the cogs have been dumped here after, you know, the war. So what's to say that Anya can't be, you know, be actually resurrected as a twisted locust too. Maybe she's the next reincarnation
Oh
of the queen or some shit.
I wouldn't like. I wouldn't like that at all.
Anyway, not to mention, Dribs, we thought Michelle Rodriguez's character was absolutely dead, going off of her supposed death in 4. Yet it turns out she was able to dodge roll away from an explosion and duck right out of the way just in time. And wasn't actually shot dead by that guy who claimed that he shot her dead.
So basically, Jova, the same logic that Henry in Miracle Mask used, like, unless I see a dead body, unless I see a dead body, I'm not buying it.
That's pretty much like the age-old rule with any bout of entertainment.
So basically what we're saying is Fast and Furious would be like a later game if instead of having civilized gentlemen and ladies, everyone was either a convicted criminal or you know, a gangster or...
Well, remember,
or John Cena.
Well, remember, Dwebs, in the Miracle Mask episodes when Emmy asks Layton if he was a rebel back when he was a teen, you even used your Dick Layton persona to have Layton go fuck the establishment. So according to your headcanon, it seems like it. It seems.
But going back to, there we go. Going back to this game, I can kinda understand to a sort of degree the specific plot that they wanted to construct. They want to showcase that this is another turning point for Sarah. This is the moment where they discover that the Locusts are supposedly coming back. Like, they could have easily just even tell this potentially also in a comic, or just leave it on screen and start immediately with with Locust being back immediately and having JD and the group fighting them normally. But instead they chose to actually have a slow build-up towards their coming back. Now, this presents problems, as we mentioned, regarding on the mere idea of bringing the Locust back. But on a level of constructing, a narrative and a proper story, I can actually see where they were coming from. After all, this is also the first game that the Coalition was making, so it also had to represent like a new beginning of sorts. So starting in the middle of another arc might have not made too much sense. I still argue that, yeah, I'm with Pedro. Probably start talking about the Pendulum Wars would have been probably more interesting, or at the very least show an actual complete new threat instead of a Locust. But at the very least I can see the fact that they wanted to pace better with a proper start. And there's also the fact that they... what Joel was saying before about the 20 years of peace and what it meant for Adam's sacrifice may have been right. I think it's a situation of glass that is half full, half empty. The half empty is the fact that, yes, at the end of the day, those sacrifices ultimately have been in vain. Dom, Adam, all the others who died, all the Carabiners who died, all the nameless soldiers we see in the beginning. But on the other, the peace actually endured for like 20 years. It's not like a thing that it happened over the course of a week. There was a genuine time, where they managed to mostly get along most of the time, the people of Sarah.
It follows a bit of a similar issue to the new Star Wars trilogy, that we never really did get to see any of that peacetime, though. Like, that is one thing I think I'd appreciate sequels like this more if we got more semblance of what the piece was like instead of, just instantly bringing the stuff back for the next one here. Like, I get that, yes, for certain meta reasons, it technically makes sense, have the sequel start off around the time when crap hits the fan or, when stuff gets wonky again, but I feel like it would be better showing the piece, which I'll admit.
Alright, listen here. I want you guys to listen to this.
Look around. There's gotta be a way out.
Okay, it's about to make a bad joke. In a few minutes.
Oh, what else is new?
Hold on. I remember. Yeah. Oh, never mind. It's there's a more one.
That was a terrible joke.
Well, no, that was not it. Like, sorry, I was trying to see if it's after this assault. Okay, carry on.
But yeah, Jova, it actually reminds me a lot more benevolent instead version of a speech that actually gets told. I don't know if you read it, but There's this webcomic that anyone who has been on the internet since the early 2000s pretty much knows. It's called The Order of the Stick. It's basically a giant D&D campaign, but with stick figures that analyzes, you know, plot threads of fantasy, storytelling, and stuff like that. One of his major story arcs involves these very genre-savvy villain called Tarquin, who is also the father of one of the heroes. There you go. And like I said, Jean de Savary, and he's also the leader of his evil empire classic stuff. So we have this page where he actually has his son sort of captured. And instead of actually trying to kill him, he starts to convince him with the whole join me shtick. But since he's genre savvy, he's not actually, you know, he's actually very compelling, he says so. And then he says this. How many stories have you heard which are single your vanquishes of wicked empire? He says
I think
dozens.
it's almost...
Oh, I'll mention after the joke then.
If I remember correctly, we're almost done.
Well, we're still the wicked locals to actually put
That's
down.
okay, I'll just saw them through. I think we're almost done. Yeah, there's another one there. But however, that one is a proper full-blown adult. Whatever, I'll still saw him anyway. Oh fuck. Some help, guys.
Alright, chums, let's do this. Leroy
There we go.
Jenkins.
Alright,
Damn it, Leroy.
I think it's now. Or no, okay. More. Okay,
Jesus,
fine. Jesus.
More turret section.
Again, this is that's the primary issue too. Like I've mentioned, I can tell that when the developers finished developing all the levels and stuff, they realized that this game was way too short for a mainline Gears game, so they had to throw as much enemies as possible in these sections to make sure the game would, you know, get to a decent length.
Just a reminder, we're technically in the third of 4 acts, yet we're technically halfway through the game at this point.
Jesus.
Yeah, and the only reason this playthrough is 14 parts long is because of this. Like, if you remove the padding, this game would be like, what, 10 parts long? It would be a pretty
really,
short Gears game, and it's a mainline one. At least Judgment
really
was, as they excused it, was a spin-off.
Okay. For as much as we complained about how safe it was bringing the locals back.
Okay.
Alright.
But it looks like it's over. Finally. Then let's find a way out of here.
Get it, guys?
I got
That
some
was
visitor
one.
suggestion box. Worst museum ever.
There you go. Worst museum ever.
Okay.
It's kind of a shame that they didn't have Ali Hillis record that line.
If I remember correctly, Jova, you once said that your problem with the humor of this game is that they're trying to cater to a specific demographic. I forgot which one was it.
Let me put it like this: it's essentially, "Hello, fellow kids. How do you do?"
Yeah, that's it. That's what you said. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Gears could have sometimes juvenile humor, yes, but it was often done in actual good sense. Like, it knew how to work with it here and there. Like, basically, this is the kind of thing that goes, hey, instead of using those old, outdated jokes, I'm gonna use jokes that are inevitably gonna be dated and honestly aren't even that keen. Like, these aren't the jokes that teenagers usually trade, you know? This is what Hollywood thinks that teenagers speak like. And mind you, these guys aren't actually teenagers, but they're adults. But since the story is trying to appeal to teens, even though it's rated M, mind you, that's the dialogue they went with.
You see, there you go. See, Teo, apparently we learned nothing from Final Fantasy 13.
Anyway, Teo, you were...
But no, I'll try to sum up quickly, but because I want to make the parallel between the 20-year piece here. But I will say, like I said, Tarpin says, you're a bard, how many stories you've heard where a hero vanquishes a wicked empire? I don't know, dozens, I guess. Ask, what is the one thing that you all have in common? The one fact that they all share? Classic storytelling may tell, as Ellen tells, the hero always wins, you know. But that's arguable. No, the one thing they all have in common is the wicked empire exists. It has existed of source on time, and it will continue to exist if no heroes intervene. So the rules of drama to which a storyteller subscribes tells that such tyrannies can exist, indeed must exist, and persist long enough that no one realistically thinks that it can be defeated. Else, where's the drama in a hero opposing them? And if such kingdoms are necessary, why Tarquin is essence shouldn't rule one. At the end, if someone conquers Empire, losing the Iron Fist for 30 long years, and then some paladin breaks into his throne room and kills him, what do you think he's going to remember as as he lays dying? That he got to live like a god for 3 decades. Sure, the last 10 minutes sucked, but you can't have anything, you know, everything. But the point that I want to make is, again, a parallel to this. I don't know how dangerous the situation is. I guess Gears 3, Gears 5 will, make things even worse. But what the story tells is that there have been these 20 years of peace. Sure, supposedly the politician that has succeeded, Anya, has not apparently been the most optimal one. But some good had to come out of this. And again, we're seeing this game that has these, breaking point, as we're seeing the locals return. So, once again, I think the coalition actually wanted to have an idea to go somewhere with this kind of storytelling. It's just that, I don't know, I guess it's, there has to be something that just doesn't click as it should be. It can't be just the characters, but I don't know. Again, it may be just for how rushed this story feels. And keep in mind, the first Gears, I argue, had kind of the opposite idea. The story actually was very stretched. The characters visited only few locations and did a lot of stuff in those, which is a bit similar to what's happening here, but a lot of stuff is happening at the same time because we have all the previous games to reference, and to build continuity upon. While the first Gears instead was a complete fresh start.
I think I can answer a bit of the issue you're having with this game. It's the fact that this game throws a lot at you. It throws a lot of concepts, topics, and goals at you. And it just as easily abandons them way too quickly each. Like I said, there's way so much stuffed into this, but so little development given to it. Yeah. It's sort of like Game of Thrones Season 8, where, mind you, the makers were granted the ability to have, 10 seasons or whatnot, but no, D&D wanted to rush things off so that they could hurry off.
Not even that, Jova. Remember, they wanted to take a sabbatical, not a sabbatical, but an extra years of shooting because they wanted to make this as better as they can. And yet, they actually forgot props on set, bottles of plastic everywhere. For fuck's sake.
Also, the Starbucks
honestly,
yes.
Jova, I'll be honest, Jova, your point of them stuffing so much stuff in here, I gotta disagree. I feel it's the opposite. I feel there's barely anything here.
Well, it's like I said, there actually are a lot of things when you think about it. The whole bout of peace, the whole thing with Jin, the whole locusts are back, the whole them snatching up the humans, and also the fact of Reina society as well. Here's the thing, Whips. I don't blame you for forgetting about those and feeling like the plot is vague, because it feels like the story is afraid
Nothing
to
is fleshed out.
something too much, lest they risk padding it out even more than they already have. Okay, keep this in mind. We just got Marcus Phoenix on our party, only for him to be snatched up almost immediately now.
Yeah.
And like I said before, we're on Act 3 of 4. Again, they're throwing a lot at us, but they give so little to it. So yeah, I don't blame you, Dwibs, for feeling like the plot is pretty paper thin, because it is.
That's the primary issue. Like Jova said, there's a lot of elements to this. The problem is not a single of these elements is actually fleshed out. Therefore, it doesn't work or even stick in anybody's mind. There's also the issue that, again, it doesn't even have anything to do with whether or not the plot is complicated, because the plots of the original trilogy boil down to there's bad guys, go kill. What made those plots enjoyable was the characters. Gears is not so much about an intricate plot, it's about a group of likable action heroes. That's it. The new characters we have to replace the Delta Squad are lackluster. They're so lackluster. They're not badass. They're not badasses. They're not witty. They're not charming. like they just come across as a fun fact. One of the Xbox dudes that I do follow calls this game in 5 as a what if millennials made a Gears game.
I take offense to that as a millennial myself. Like, seriously, thinking like that is part of the issue. Like, well, you know, honestly, though, that's the thing, though. It's Hollywood thinking that millennials think like that that leads to them misrepresenting millennials and thus just getting laughed at by millennials. Case in point, the Emoji Movie, which thought it was speaking to millennials, but just became a laughing stock to millennials.
If anything, it's more their generation will use emojis in that quantity. Just saying.
I know, right?
It also doesn't help that a lot of these people, for some reason, think that millennials are still like teenagers when we're all grown-ass adults by this point.
It's Gen Z, the newer one at this point.
Yeah.
Get your turn straight, Grams.
This game. But yeah, Pedro, you do raise a good point about this game. It's like, I mean, that's just this game in a nutshell. Like, okay.
Nothing is charming, nothing is fleshed out, nothing's anything.
I think you raised a good point about why the original Gears trilogy worked. Now, you could argue that a lot was thrown at you in the original trilogy, yes. What saved that, though, was that it was more character-driven. It was seeing how the characters reacted to all these different situations, set pieces, and whatnot, while trying to solve the war here and there. So you could have a lot of stuff thrown in, but the focus would still be on the characters here. This feels like the opposite. This feels more like a story-driven thing, where a lot of the new changes and whatnot, sure, yeah, the characters react to them, but it feels more like the plot is driving the characters more than the characters are driving the plot in this. Like, the whole Locust coming black thing, the characters didn't really have any impact on that. The whole Marcus and his dad having the falling out thing, it is as cliched as it comes, and has little to do with what the characters actually did so much as the feelings they have towards each other, and again, it feels plot contrived. A lot. It's sort of like comparing Last of Us 2 to Last of Us 1.
Actually, I think one example that is fitting that is included in the original trilogy, what you mentioned about the characters, is the fact, I think I did mention in the final thoughts of Gears 3, but just to be sure, the fact that Marcus, despite a thing that I was expecting them to do but maybe didn't, is the fact that Marcus doesn't climb up the military rankings. He gets promoted as sergeant and stays like that for the rest of his life. Doesn't even get like a corporal, corporal or something.
I wonder if it's the idea that, anything higher
I think the idea behind that is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what rank Phoenix is. Sure, he's still the leader of a Delta Squad, but that's it. It's just a matter of the fact that his comrades are more like friends to him rather than just a subject. Sure, will be the times where Baron needs to be punched in the face to be reminded where his place is, sure. But most of the time, it's more friendly banter. Marcus himself tells that to Carmine in the tutorial of Gears 2 to actually lay off with the formalities, because even the role doesn't suit for him. While I do believe that if the situation, I don't know what's going to happen to these people in here on Gears 5, but I do believe if the situation was handled in a similar way than here, probably the approach that would have happened would have the protagonist actually, rank up, eventually becoming like general or something, with the idea of being the paragon of humanity, the representative of them against the Locust Madness.
Gears
but
5,
instead, it reinforces the idea of the original trilogy, the fact that ironically enough, also to sell the side material like the comic, the fact that the Delta Squad, despite managing to win the war in different occasions and being the catalyst, it's just one squad in the middle of a giant war. There's like dozens of many other squads with other people, doing their own shits. They're the heroes of their own stories. So go buy comics about them,
Which kind of think of it does raise a question. I know that we haven't seen much of modern society, but you would think that Marcus Phoenix would be considered a flipping war hero.
Alright, I think it's now.
Maybe it's...
Alright, Jova, get ready.
Oh boy.
Alright, this is one of the scenes that I dislike the most.
box.
Yes, that box is terrible, Pedro.
No, we're about to get it. Don't worry.
The array is emphasizing.
It's right after I saw this for this thing.
Well spoken,
there you go. Do not be. All right, listen here.
We definitely found where they're coming from.
And where those snatchers are going.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
So, who's going in first?
Not me.
Hey, JD.
Not it.
Not I.
You for it.
Seriously? You're terrible at rock, paper, scissors.
How can someone...
I mean, why not just toss a coin?
Now is not really the time to argue about this.
Do I?
Let's do it.
You're an idiot.
This is a common. Keep in mind, I don't think this is the only example. This is a common trap where storytellers actually fail because they think on paper this is funny. And for stuff like a Bridget series, I actually like it, but because it's extreme, the comedy is put into extreme. But in a situation where we just want to tell a joke like this, yeah, it falls flat on its face because reverse psychology for rock, paper, scissors doesn't work.
JD, don't hit the camera with your gun, please. You see, there you go. See, this is exactly what I've been saying throughout the original trilogy when we were commenting on it. These new characters are lame. They're so lame.
Again,
holy crap, they're lame.
They're pretty much the older generation's way of trying to supposedly get in touch with millennials, when in reality, they're lame even by Generation Z's standards. Like, seriously. I mean, these jokes are terrible. They don't really make much sense. Like, regardless of whether or not Dell is supposed to be the smart one or not, that rock, paper, scissors joke is just so tired and old, and even still with context, really shouldn't have worked like that.
Again, this is the kind of joke that will be mocked upon in something like an abridged series. Like Giguk does this kind of joke where he talks about one of the isekai anime that he started about betting everything on games, but yeah, no, definitely doesn't work for this.
Again, it's Gears of War is all about cool, badass action heroes, and these characters have none of those characteristics. They're not cool, they're not badass, they're lame. They're absolutely freaking lame. Nobody wants to see an action story with these people. It's not just Kate, it's all of them. They're all lame.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I almost forgot about Kate. It's a good job I didn't do that drinking game for every time Pedro says characters are lame.
I wouldn't mind.
Well, you actually haven't said much. What do you think of these new characters?
Not really anything.
Well, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say about them, to be honest.
All right,
there isn't really a lot showcased about how they work as a team. They haven't really interacted much. It's just.
Even though they're supposed to be a damn team.
What are your thoughts on this also witty sense of humor that Tom Bissell has?
10 out of 10.
I didn't laugh, so...
If that's supposed to be humor, then why aren't I writing game scripts?
Like seriously, I want Cole back. I want Cole picking up a mic and completely bad mouthing the Locust Queen again.
Returning characters, are you sure you want Cole back?
Do we want Cole on tranquilizers, like in Judgment?
Well, to be fair...
Again, monkey's paw, Pedro.
Well, to be fair, Cole is actually better written in this game than he is in Judgment, if I'm going to be fair.
Oh, he actually does. Okay, that's the thing. We're more than halfway through the game. Like, we're gonna squeeze in all the cameos, like the end or something.
Yeah, but better than the Cole will show up, yes. It's just... no, that's the thing, Tail. Cole is actually characterized just perfectly fine in the few minutes he does show up in this game. That's the thing. Maybe the other writer from Judgment was the one that wrote Cole in Judgment. I don't know. Or maybe someone slapped Tom Bissell. Hey, write Cole better this time. Like,
yeah, but why didn't you just say that to write everybody better then?
I don't even know what to tell
There's
you.
only
That's-
so much slaps he could do that Tom Bissell would register towards.
Alright, so...
Maybe not slap the guy himself, just slap the script he's writing and say...
So, the
No.
big question, do we save Marcus in the next part or not?
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to wait a bit more before we can save Marcus.
Sorry, Tio, we
Alright,
gotta...
then.
Tio, we have to pad things out a bit more. We can't just save Marcus that quickly. And
Yeah.
again, we're going to show how much more capable these new characters are compared to Marcus.
Sure.
And Kate is just there. I mean, they just made both JD and Dell look like idiots for no reason.
Right. Kate exists.
Yeah,
I almost forgot.
Kate exists. Kate in this game, she's just a token girl. I guess that's why they did what they did with Gears 5. They wanted to Gears 5 is them overcompensating for how they wrote her in this game, maybe.
Oh God, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Whatever. See you, everybody.
Yeah.
See ya.